The mainstream media is in growing denial over their increasing irrelevance, and the way you can tell is based on how much time they spend covering and bashing the new media versus how much time they spend actually covering the news. So CNN just released this video here on YouTube. Do you consider yourself a journalist? CNN meets MAGA media at White House. Now, that was very clearly designed to be a hit piece, but what I loved is that the War Room's Natalie Winters totally boomeranged this back at CNN.
To the people, and I'm sure you see this online every single day, who say you don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist, what's your response to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
The chair of the White House Correspondents Association, a group...
She is spot on, and it's not like there's this certifying board to become a journalist, right? Becoming a journalist isn't the same as becoming a physician or a lawyer. There's no board, no credentials that you have. And in fact, with the internet, anyone can be a journalist. Anyone can get the news either at a local, state, or national level. But the difference between the new media and the old guard is that at least the new media is willing to be honest, right? Natalie Winters, everyone on the right, they're not hiding the fact that they support President Trump, are Republican, or in some cases are even MAGA. They're wearing it proudly on their sleeves. But at least you as the viewer, you as the consumer, know that, right? You understand their bias. Whereas the mainstream media, the old guard, they act as if they're neutral arbiters of the truth and the facts. They act as if they have absolutely no bias at all, where we all know they have a leftist agenda. And it's that agenda, it's that filter through which they gatekeep and sanitize the news. Now, in case you want to watch the entire segment for yourself, I'm going to leave a link to it down in the comments, and I'll pin it as the first one so it's easy to find. But what was really ironic about the whole thing was the timing of it all. Because yesterday, content creator Tim Pool appeared at the White House. He was in the new media seat for the day, and in fact, he was granted the first question. And it was all about this rivalry and the clash that is happening between the mainstream media and the new media.
Today.
Yes, many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by 2 different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland Man over and over again. Now, in an effort from the White House to expand access to new companies, you've created this new media seat. So I'm wondering if you can comment on following this expansion, you've had numerous outlets disparage the companies that you've had sit here, as well as the reporters. I'm wondering if you could comment on that unprofessional behavior, as well as elaborate if there's any plans to expand access to new companies.
I just love that the media was forced to sit there and listen to it as he was listening this question. What was really notable to me was Caitlin Collins's reaction. She was head down the entire time until the very end. And the gentleman behind her, it looked like to me he was doing some sort of eye roll without the eye roll, just based on the body movement of his head, like, oh, come on, give me a break here. But no, you deserve to be called out with your reporting, and I'm happy that Tim Pool did that. But over on CNN, they had an entire panel discussing this, because this really is disturbing the media right now. Politico, Axios, The News, they've all written articles about this, about the tensions that are brewing in the press briefing room, about how the old guard and the new guard actually interact in person. And in fact, the White House and the WHCA, the White House Correspondents Association, are still arguing over the seating arrangement and how many new media seats will be able to be added. Now, over on CNN, they had a panel discussing all of this, and one of their top commentators kept referring to the new media, all of the new seats, as weirdos and freaks, and Scott Jennings was not having it at all.
The problem is that the right wing, hello Scott, has taken advantage of this situation, I think, quite cleverly, quite wisely. They've played into a weakness.
What situation?
The situation of media being under attack. And so they've created a situation where...
You've almost got it. Keep going. What the right wing has taken advantage of is finally the American people saying enough is enough. They're tired of feeling like the mass media screens out one viewpoint versus another in political coverage. They're tired of media institutions favoring one party over another. They're tired of narratives over factual stories. If I had any advice for 60 Minutes or anybody else, it would be just cover the news and try to be fair about it and stop putting your finger on the scale, especially during campaigns.
You're talking about the old mass media myth that you could have this thing that was in the middle. The Walter Cronkite saying, that's the way it is, when it wasn't for many Americans the way it was, when people were pissed off.
But people back in those days trusted the media, did they not?
No, they just couldn't be heard because there was no two-way. Now we have the internet.
Look at the Gallup polling. It was here, and now it's here. It's fallen off of a cliff.
Yeah, we do have that Gallup polling about trust in media, and now, as in recent years, and let's be honest, Scott, a lot of this is driven by the rhetoric on your side of the aisle.
I mean,
it's not.
You think it's driven by the rhetoric and not the performance?
Absolutely.
But my point is this: if you're CBS or any other news outlet, the reason that you have lost trust ought to be obvious to you, and the way to fix it also ought to be obvious to you, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump and everything to do with the product. Just try to make a better product that appeals to more people. And the way you appeal to more people is by not crapping on half or more than half of the country because of their values and political viewpoints.
I think that is
what you'd end up with in that press room then is, and these are my words, the freak show that Trump wants. Trump tries to devalue media. Why should we value his freak show there? Leave it to the freaks.
I think calling them freaks.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that, by the way.
I mean, he called these new media sources the freak show. They're not freaks. They have audiences.
Some of them are.
They have audiences, and there's a reason that they're thriving is because the people are starved for information that they think they can trust. They're not freaks. They're filling a need in this country, in my opinion.
Talk about just out of touch. The fact that they're pretending as if the attacks on the media all began because of President Trump is just not true. Trust in the media has always been low, especially on the right. Republicans have long been suspicious of the mainstream media. And as a millennial, I clearly remember this from 2008 when Barack Obama was running against John McCain. It was very clear then. You know, I was in college. It was super clear to me, even as a kid, that the mainstream media had a bias. But unfortunately, John McCain, Mitt Romney, even George W. Bush, they never fought back against the media. They all just took it. They got punched one side of the face and they turned the cheek, got punched on the other. It wasn't until Donald Trump that Republicans learned to fight back. And it's not fighting back as if they're trying to shut down the media or say that the media shouldn't exist. No, they're just saying, you're not reporting the truth. You're putting your finger on the scale. You are, in some cases, distorting the truth or just flat out lying. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not attacking the free press. And what's especially ironic about that is that it's the Democrats who've been trying to shut down the free press. I remember all the boycotts against Fox News, not just Fox News itself, but the fact that Democrats would go out there and target their advertisers, try to get the advertisers to boycott Fox News, and so that way Fox wouldn't have any revenue, right? They did that to not just Fox, but to talk radio, Rush Limbaugh back in the day. I mean, they were literally trying to silence their voices. So don't come at us with, oh, you guys are the ones taking advantage of the situation. Nope. Not taking advantage of anything. Finally, for the first time ever, the Republicans have a leader who's willing to stand up with a spine and dish right back what the media dishes to the right side of the aisle. And apparently, the left can't handle it. One of the best examples of this actually just happened today. So take a look at this headline from CBS. Hegseth orders makeup studio installed at Pentagon. This was mirrored and echoed all over the media. The Independent. Hegseth spent several $1,000s turning Pentagon room into a makeup studio for his TV spots, report says. Unfortunately, like when I saw that, and I'm sure as you're watching this at home, you're probably going, that just doesn't seem true, right? It seems like too low of a blow, too easy for even the mainstream media. And take a look at this. This is from the DoD Rapid Response. Does the fake news not have anything better to do? Number one, no lighted mirror. Number two, it didn't cost thousands. And number three, the items that were added to the green room, not a makeup studio, came from existing inventory. This story is trash. And by the looks of it, yeah, I believe him. No lighted mirror. There's a puny little lamp right there, which, you know, is inappropriate for a makeup room. Like it really should be lights all around. So the fact that it isn't lights all around really shows you that it's not some vanity project, and that really is a small mirror too. And so just an absolute joke. We shouldn't be surprised. So earlier in the video, Natalie Winters, when she was responding to CNN, she brought up the Joe Biden scandal, right? The fact that the media covered up for his obvious cognitive decline. Well, Elizabeth Warren was being interviewed by Sam Fragoso, and he asked her about Joe Biden's decline and what she had seen, what she knew when, and she was just at a loss for words. You love to see it.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look, the question is, what are we going to do now?
Okay.
The fact that she's so cautious about her words, right? She's trying to lightly and perfectly thread the needle here and is just failing miserably at it. You can tell, like, her reasoning in her head, just the way the words were coming out was, well, I never personally met him. I didn't see the decline up close. And you could tell also because he asked, did you think he was as sharp and as smart as you were? And she kind of scoffed at him. Just the face she made there was, it sort of told all. Now, I'm going to do something that the media doesn't like to do often, and I'm going to issue a retraction or a correction. I am a commentary channel, but my commentary is only as good as the facts, so it's important that I get the facts right. Well, it's no secret that Teslas and Tesla dealerships have been under attack. This doesn't change all of that, but specifically, I showed this clip in a previous video of a man keying a Tesla, and then he actually wipes his butt on it while his car is in neutral, and the car floats away. Apparently, this was a skit. This was a parody by Vincent Oshana of PBD, so I wanted to be very clear about that. Again, doesn't change the fact that Teslas are under attack, and the overall point of the video remains solid, but I did want to make it very clear I had no idea that was a skit. I wasn't trying to misrepresent it. If anything, I think it proves my point in the fact that these attacks are so outrageous, they are so widespread, that something that in any other alternative timeline would have been an obvious skit, to me looked like an actual video. Like, that is truly how deranged leftists are. So kudos to PBD for that skit, because they fooled me, and I wanted to make sure I got that right. So 3 more stories for today's video. Over at Trump Tower, a climate activist was arrested, finally. Take a look at this man. He is spray painting the 45 medallion hanging on the wall with green spray paint. And then, well, hey, I'll give him credit, right? At least he didn't mask up and cover up his face. He was ballsy enough to let himself get arrested, let his identity be known. This is when Secret Service and the police came. They arrested him. It is unknown currently what he's being charged with, but I hope that they finally make an example out of the people who keep protesting in Trump Tower, trying to vandalize it, trying to storm it. It's just an absolute joke. Yesterday, we had some great news out of HHS. RFK Jr. announced that we are going to be phasing out of artificial dyes in our food, which I think will be great for all of us.
When I met with, and I want to commend the food companies for working with us to achieve this agreement or this settlement. And when I went in a few months or about a month ago to meet with a few food companies, I was talking with my staff about these petroleum-based dyes, and I said, if they want to add petroleum, if they want to eat petroleum, they ought to add it themselves at home. But they shouldn't be feeding it to the rest of us. And without our knowledge or consent. And unfortunately, we're going to get rid of the dyes, and then one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in food that we can legally address.
And that's 100% true. The reality is there are so many ingredients in our foods here in the States that are banned in Europe, banned in Asia, and aren't allowed there. But for whatever reason, food companies have been able to get away with it here. Like, could that partially explain the obesity rates in the United States? Because I know there are going to be some people out there who say, well, Americans are just lazy, and you could maybe make that argument. But I don't think, even if it is true to an extent, I don't think laziness is the complete and only explanation for the obesity rates that we see in America and not the rest of the world. I think a lot of it really does have to do with the quality of our food. As they say, garbage in, garbage out. Last but not least, I'm going to start calling her Jasmine Smollett. No, it's not Jasmine Crockett. It is Jasmine Smollett because she's pulling a Jussie Smollett. Her story of how she became a lawyer has apparently changed over the last 6 years. There are a lot of stories you would think would remain pretty consistent, right? Like why you got married, how you met your spouse, why you chose to major in what you majored in college, or why you chose your career path. Well, Jasmine Smollett's story as to how she became a lawyer is oh so trustworthy.
I had a great background as it relates to my ability to deal with numbers, and it was going to pay well. So I was like, I'll be an accountant. Unfortunately, around my junior year, I was the victim of a hate crime or two. And so were a group of my friends all at the same time. Cars were keyed with the N-word. We received hate mail in our on-campus mailboxes. And at that time, my school hired the Cochran firm. And there was a lawyer who graduated from University of Houston who was assigned to me. And it was the first time in my life that I felt helpless. And I was like, I want to help people that are going through what I've just experienced. And at that point in time, I decided that I was going to sit for the LSAT. I did Little Shop of Horrors. So when I was in college at Rhodes in Memphis, I ended up doing Little Shop of Horrors.
What part did you play in that?
I was one of the women that was singing.
Okay.
Yes, I was in the chorus.
Okay.
And so I ended up doing it, and the mock trial coach recruited me to do mock trial. And I was like, no. By this time, I decided I was going to be an accountant. Didn't want to do anesthesia no more. Still didn't want to talk to people. So then he goes, no, you should do mock trial. And I said, that's for the kids going to law school. Long story short, he recruits me. I do mock trial just my senior year. I become a national All-American. He says, you should go to law school. So I applied, got a full ride, and said, fine, if I don't like it, I'll quit.
What story is it? First of all, if you got attacked, if you were a victim of a hate crime or two, I would think that you would remember the number of hate crimes you've been involved in. It wouldn't be like a flippant or two or three, just several hate crimes. You would think it would be a very strong documentation, like what a traumatic experience. For most people, it would be a traumatic experience. So that on itself, like, I don't even know that either story is true, to be honest with you. And second of all, I don't know if you saw, but earlier today, she apparently challenged President Trump to an IQ test, and that was after she called Elon Musk a moron. Well, at least they can keep their story straight, Jasmine Smollett. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So this rise of the new media, especially having the new media seats in the White House, do you think that this is a permanent shift in the right direction, or do you think it's just a blip on the radar? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Personally, I hope that it's a permanent shift. It should be a permanent shift, but I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say, God forbid, a Democrat wins in 2028. I don't think it's guaranteed that those new media seats are going to remain, or maybe if they do, they're going to give them to leftist content creators like Midas Touch or Brian Tyler Cohen. I'm just not convinced that it's a permanent fixture, but even if it is a blip, I hope that it's the first sort of mini tremor before the big earthquake of a true permanent change in the media landscape. As always, if you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.